Pat, if you could just keep an eye on and just keep letting people in as they show up, I'm gonna go ahead and get us started. So, hello. My name is Mariana Sansoni. I'm with the St. Louis Community Foundation. I use she, her pronouns. I am the grants administrator here, so I work a lot on the back end and specifically with our competitive grant cycles. I'm here with SOS to present about their nonprofit bootcamp, which is really just an informational session about SOS. We plan to allot about 30-ish minutes for presentation, and then we'll do a Q&A after. If you aren't able to stay the whole time, we completely understand. There will be a recording of this posted in the next few days on the SOS website. Just give us, our tech teams, a little bit to talk with each other and get everything going. And with that, I'm going to start a presentation. So this worked once before. It's going to work again because I have full faith and confidence because computers never go wrong, ever. I appreciate the laughing faces. Okay. Ah, let's go all the way back. Can I get a thumbs up if people can see my screen? I'm really hoping people are thumbsing up. Berta, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Alrighty. Well, again, thank you for joining us. So we'll be going over the SOS Bootcamp. Who is the Spirit of St. Louis Fund? So you've heard me say SOS a lot. So it's for the Spirit of St. Louis Women's Fund. What is the eligibility for this grant process? What is the grant process in general? What to expect? And then how to log in. And we will do a practice like eligibility login together. A note on that is on our sandbox. So this opportunity will be available tomorrow. Woohoo, so exciting. So it is not up today, but all of the resources are on the SOS website. You'll be able to see all of the questions that will be asked of you if you want to start prepping in advance, but it officially opens tomorrow. This is our sneak peek. Wonderful. With that, I'm gonna take it away. So who is the Spirit of St. Louis Fund? The Spirit of St. Louis Women's Fund educates and inspires women to engage in informed collective grant making by investing in Greater St. Louis's small nonprofits to positively affect change in our communities. So congratulations to SOS. They are turning 20 years old today. Woohoo, they can almost drink. So exciting. They are focusing on nonprofits of less than $1.5 million in their annual budget to apply for 2-year grants. So the grants will be awarded and they will be split into the first half on the first year and then the second half in the second year. The areas that they are focusing on are arts and culture, education, environment, health, and social services. So we understand folks work across those. Pick the one that best defines you. If you don't fall into one of those categories or aren't proposing a project in one of those categories, thank you so much for your time. We do not want you to sit through this meeting if you don't need to. You're welcome to. We are happy to have you, but we want to be respectful of the nonprofit's time. So again, we're only funding organizations that fit into the arts and culture, education, environment, health, and social services. That being said, how does SOS work? So SOS is a collective giving organization. Every member has an equal voice and contributes equally. So they pool their money together and they each give $1,200 per year. 90% of those funds go towards granting awards. So 90 cents of every dollar goes back out into grants. SOS is a volunteer democracy. What does a volunteer democracy means? It just means those who have time give it. They do a lot of incredible events with other nonprofits, book clubs, getting out in the community, volunteering opportunities, and just as an organization for philanthropic women to get together. They do ask that the only requirement is that you vote. So again, every person gets an equal vote. They do not do fundraisers or galas. Grant dollars come from the members themselves. Wonderful. So why partner with the St. Louis Community Foundation? As I said before, my name is Mariana Sansoni. I use she, her pronouns. I am the grants administrator here at the St. Louis Community Foundation. I do a lot of the back end support for our competitive grant cycles. Wendy Witt is the fund steward, and she works a lot with the SOS members and getting all of their donations and doing all of the background things for how the money goes out. I just get to read fund applications. SOS partners greatly with the St. Louis Community Foundation because we both are inspiring purposeful philanthropy and to build a more equitable and vibrant region. We very much align in what we're doing. Um, the Community Foundation is trustworthy stewards of donor funds coming in, and we connect donors to community. So we administer about 900 charitable funds totaling $775 million and distribute over $100 million in grants and scholarships annually. Most of those are through directed grants from a donor to directly to an organization that works with us. A few of them and some of those dollars are for competitive grant cycles, which is mostly what I work on. Yeah. Next, I'm going to give it over to Berta James. She's been an SOS member since 2014. Berta, would you mind introducing yourself, talking a bit about your experience and being an SOS member, as well as share a meaningful or impactful part of SOS grant making that you've enjoyed? Oh, Berta, I think you're muted. I'm so sorry. We love technology.
I joined SOS because I was new to St. Louis and I wanted to learn more about the nonprofit landscape. My favorite SOS experience has always been to go on site visits. And with going on those visits, I get to meet people from all walks of life and get to know our SOS members even better. So I'm here today just to answer questions at the end if you do have any questions about the process. Thank you for joining us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Berta. We're excited to hear more about you later, and we'll talk more about those site visits and what they look like later. That being said, SOS, like I said, is turning 20. Woohoo. So I wanted to look back at some of the SOS impact. We encourage you also to check out their website and the impact that they have there. You all should still be able to see my screens. Here's a wonderful little blurb about the impact that they have had. But really, what I want to get into is this incredible interactive map, which is a little hard to see on my small screen, but much easier to see on your computers at home. So as I mentioned, we have those 5 categories that they're focusing on this year, but they funded a lot of different other organizations. I'm going to randomly pick this one under education. So for example, they funded B-Works. They received a $10,000 grant in order to earn a computer program. This program allowed low-income children a chance to earn a refurbished desktop computer system while learning technical skills needed to maintain it. Another org, we're going to go under immigrant and refugees, is the Immigrant and Refugee Women's Program. So in 2008, they received a $10,000 grant in order to train volunteers. They received a $12,000 grant in 2009, 15,000 in 12, and 16,000 another $15,000 grant. Wonderful. So that being said, I'm going to get back to our lovely presentation. Can you all still see my screen? Love it. Yay, technology doing the technology thing. Awesome. So what is the eligibility for this grant? I know this is what y'all have been waiting for. So you must be a public charity with must have a public charity status under Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code. If you have a public charity status, but you are not a 501c3, please email me. Please email either my email, the grants at STLC or the grants at stlgives.org, or my email will be at the bottom, or just the info at, send a question into our chat bot on our website if you aren't able to remember the email. We'll look into it and let you know because there are certain orgs that we are and are not able to because the funds flow through the St. Louis Community Foundation. There are just IRS tax codes that we have to follow. You must have an operating budget of less than 1.5 million. Thank you so much to the organizations that have 1.6 million. Right now, we are focusing on that 1.5 and below. The other things is you have to be headquartered in St. Louis region and you must be providing services within the greater St. Louis region. The counties that we are focusing on is St. Louis City, St. Louis County, St. Charles, Jefferson, and Franklin County on the Missouri side. Across the river on the Illinois side, we are focusing on St. Clair, Madison, and Monroe counties. Organizations can provide services outside those specific areas. So let's say you're working in Washington, Jefferson County, and Franklin County. SOS will only fund efforts in the Franklin and Jefferson County organizations. If you can't tell, I'm also from Jefferson County because I say Washington. You can take it up with my mother later. Fun little accent. Next, if a nonprofit received a grant in the 2024-2025 cycle, thank you so much. We love working with you. I will continue to receive your awards and your reports, and you'll work with the Impact Committee, but right now we are looking for new organizations. If you're awarded in the 2024 to 2025 grant cycle, you will not be eligible until 2028 to 2029. And as I said before, if your proposal must fall within one of the 5 areas that we are focusing on, which is arts and culture, education, environment, health, and social services. If you fall outside of these, thank you so much for all the work that you do. These are our priorities for this year. If you go across these priorities, please pick the one that best describes your organization or the project you are requesting grant dollars for. That being said, there will be an eligibility quiz, which we'll go through and practice. Please only apply if you're eligible. Please don't skirt around the eligibility and hope that you get through. As I said before, we had over 300 people sign up for this call, and we are almost 200 people are on this call today. It is volunteers that review these grant applications. It's SOS volunteers who volunteer and spend their time. So we want to be respectful of y'all's nonprofit time in writing the application and respectful of our time that are reviewing the application. So please only apply if you are eligible. Please don't skirt around the eligibility quiz. If you have questions on if you are or not, ask us first, because again, we want you guys to be able to spend your time. All right. Big bold letters. SOS will not fund. I'm going to say it again. Will not fund organizations not operating and providing services outside the greater St. Louis region. You must be headquartered here and you must be working here in those regions and those counties that we provided before. We will not fund chapters of national organizations receiving financial support from their national office. We cannot fund for-profit organizations. Even if you have a philanthropic arm, it must go to a public charity. We're not funding major or capital campaigns, although program-specific capital requests may be considered. If you have a question on that, please email us. We are not funding conference or benefits. We cannot fund individuals. That is an IRS rule for the foundation. Scholarships for named individuals, although scholarship funds may receive grants. Endowments, projects that promote religious or political doctrine. So let's say that you have a food pantry or you offer hot meals to people experiencing homelessness. If you're requiring them to sit through a service, we are not able to fund that. If you give meals to anyone, regardless of what you think, or how they believe or their own identities, then that is fine. We are not able to fund proselytization. And then we're not funding research, medical or otherwise, and then we are not funding operating deficits or retirement of existing funds. That was a lot. I'm going to give it a moment to breathe and let everybody read through this and sink it in. Again, being respectful of people's time. If you want to drop off, my fees won't be hurt, but you're welcome to stay with us. We are happy to have you. All right. What is the grant process? Let me get a drink of water. So the grant process can be split into 3 distinct phases. The first phase, which is letter of inquiry, we call LOI, is open for anybody, any nonprofit that is eligible to submit. There will be no extensions granted. I repeat, no extensions granted. Our grants chair wants me to make it so clear that no extensions will be granted this year. We're excited. We have updated the grant application somewhat and the letter of inquiry so that it should be easier for nonprofits. There are less uploads, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Applications are due June 19th, midnight. Win the slipper. 4 Cinderella hits. Clock strikes. We've got to go. Thank you so much. If you have any questions on that, let me know. Again, not extending extensions. That will then be reviewed by SOS grant reviewers. So like I said before, SOS members volunteer their time to review each and every one of these LOIs that are submitted. If we find that you are not eligible, it will automatically be put to the side and we aren't going to be able to review it. If Once you've gotten through the letter of inquiry, you are invited to apply. Invitations to apply will be sent out to about 30 nonprofits. That is a two-part application that includes a site visit and a written application. As I said with the LOIs, no extensions will be granted for the application phase, and the site visit will be coordinated with other SOS grant reviewers. So thank you for Berta. As she said, it is one of her favorite things to do is go spend time with nonprofits, seeing the incredible work that they do. After that, all SOS members will receive a slate of selected nonprofits being considered for the grant, and that happens in about October-ish. So it's quite a long process, but we will get through it. Um, this slate or ballot is where our nonprofits are proposed to SOS members and then they vote. So as I said in the first slide, SOS is a volunteer democracy. The only requirements is that everybody donates $1,200 to the pot and then they vote on who they believe should receive the funds. After that, 8 to 10 nonprofits that have been selected for an SOS grant will be notified of their award and they will be invited to the SOS Annual Spirit Awards event. Feel free to screenshot this. This is also on their website and it is also in the RFP, which you can find on their website. Cool, golden. I'm going to give one more second to screenshot. Awesome. Logging in. Letters of inquiry will be submitted through the St. Louis Community Foundation's Grant Lifecycle Management System, also called GLM. I am your GLM contact or person. If you already have a GLM organization or login for it, please let me know. I'm happy to help with contacts. For more detailed instructions, please check out the documents on the application training. So it is on the website. Now, we recognize that we got a lot of feedback on the uploads from the previous years and that there were a lot of uploads. For the LOI phase, there are no uploads. Everything is a table in GLM that is based off of the Missouri Common Grant application. You'll be asked to type in your response. Please type 0 if the number is 0. And then you will only be required 2 uploads, which will be if you were invited to apply, and those will be your current year financial statements or your previous year financial statements and the year before that. So 2 most previous. We are not able to accept documents via email. If you're having issues, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. But just for our own internal policies, we cannot upload on behalf of you. I will send the application back and I'm happy to hop on a Zoom call and figure out what's going on. Awesome. Let's practice. So I'm a visual learner myself. I just want to note that this is practice. So I'm going to be showing you in our sandbox, not the live site. This isn't ready on the live site yet. Our sandbox is just where I go and create them. It looks like an identical copy. If you see sandbox in the background, it is because it is not available. But I'm a visual learner, so I wanted to go through it together. With that being said, I'm going to log on. Well, if it lets me. If I have to reset your password, if you have an organization already, I'm happy to like create a profile for you. If I reset your password, it'll look like this. And we'll log on when I reset it correctly. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna pivot because it's not letting me log into my test one, even though it just did. All right, ignore this screen. This is what it looks like on the back end. If you're curious, I'm gonna go into our grants. It should let me log in. Nope. Let's try again. Something had to go wrong. It was going too well. Okay, there we go. There's our sandbox screen. It's going to ask for a new password. So I only know the temporary password that I sent to you. Please make it more secure than password 123. Well, that'd be nice. Here we go. Wonderful. It will bring you to your home screen in GLM. If you have never created an organization or need to edit, you'll be able to edit your organization. I already have set up. As you can see, we send some proposals through and we test things out. So once I'm on this screen, I'm going to go to the apply page. I'm going to see eligibility quiz. Like I said, this is the testing site. Test me, please. We're not going to do that today. We're going to go to the eligibility quiz. I'm going to click see more because I want to be like, what is this? Is this the right one? Yes, it is. Additional information about this grant process, what we will and won't fund. Next steps. I'm going to check my eligibility. Am I eligible? Am I a 501c3 or a public charity? Yes, I am. Wonderful. Is our operating budget less than 1.5 million? Yes, it is. Do I operate in the city of St. Louis County, Charles, Jefferson, Franklin counties in Missouri? I work in the St. Louis City area. Or this is our headquarters. Our service areas include St. Louis City and St. Louis County. This is for my fake organization. I have named it the Mariana Foundation, and we do incredible work on arts and culture in St. Louis. Did we receive a grant fund in 2024-25? No. And we do arts and culture. Are we eligible? I'm going to click submit eligibility. We are eligible. Wonderful. So exciting. If you are not eligible, you'll see a little box that pops up. Thank you so much for applying. If you think you are eligible and you filled out the eligibility quiz, shoot me an email and I will be happy to talk with you about that and reset the eligibility quiz if needed. All right. It will bring you back to the homepage and you will see here 20 years of turning good and greater into good for the St. Louis Community Foundation or for the St. Louis Spirit of St. Louis Women's Fund, not the St. Louis Community Foundation, which is here. You'll see it as another box that pops up. You can click PDF preview and it will give you a PDF preview also available in the RFP, or you can click apply and start the application. This will be for the LOI, the letter of inquiry. Once I get in here, I will be filling everything out. This is a test profile. I'm requesting general operating support. We love GOS. Yada, yada, yada. I fill it all in. These are the tables on what they will look like. So I'm going to enter my fiscal year. So it's going to be March 31st through 29th. And I'm going to enter $12 for insurance. Wouldn't that be nice? I'm going to fill in all of the questions and then I can either save the LOI, which it will save it. Wonderful. We can click continue and keep editing it. We can click submit LOI. What happens when I click submit? Oh no, I left questions blank that I should have answered. It will give me a list of everything that I am missing from this application. If you see these little like cell dots, like the R2, C2, this is left over from one of the tables. So that just means one of the tables is missing. I'm going to go back to save LOI because I cannot submit. Thank you. I'm going to continue. If I want to copy previous answers, so this will be turned on as an option. So if you have applied for SOS in the past, you can pick one of these things to copy from. If you want to add collaborators, you're welcome to put in their email address and invite them. These options, these radio button options, work as a layer, like a cake layer. The base of the layer is can view. If you can edit, you can view and edit. If you are assigning them submit, they can edit, view, and press submit. And this is just a little message to the person you invite to apply. So let's say I'm inviting myself, gives, that's plural gives, if you all are typing in my email. Please help. SOS. Hint, hint, wink, wink. I'm so hilarious, I know. Thanks. That was a little inside joke. And I'm gonna click invite. I can also invite other people and I can change their access over here. I want her to be able to submit. Wonderful. That being said, I'm going to go back to my lovely presentation and click questions. And I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. Phew. We did it 29 minutes. High five, Pat and Berta. They are the SOS members here. I said I want to be done in under 30 minutes. Phew. Thank you all so much. Okay. Wow, we have 200 people on this call. That's so exciting. Thank you all so much for coming. That being said, I'm going to jump in to the Q&A portion of this. Okay. Let's see. I see an anonymous participant asking a question. I'm going to answer this live. I'm seeking clarification regarding an organization is headquartered. We are a local chapter of a national nonprofit. We do not receive financial support from a national organization, and we have our own EIN. Are we eligible? Pat, would you like to jump in on that question?
The one thing that I would say is the best way for us to really tell eligibility after answering those first 5 screening questions. If you get past those first 5 screening questions, then questions like these, we can really tell once we start looking into a lot of the details that you put in to your application. So I would say if you pass those first 5 screening questions, then submit an application, and then once we start screening, we'll have a better idea.
Thank you so much, Pat. Also, this is Pat Crow. She is the lovely SOS president this year. Very exciting. I see another question that says there are cost estimates for books and mailing, but no overhead or operating budget as it is volunteer led. You will need an operating budget. Your cost for books and mailing out, that is your operating budget. Like these are the supplies that are needed for it. This is the insurance that we need, and whatnot. So include that on your budget. Yeah, I'm happy to answer the question on I do not understand the invitation to others, view, edit, submit. Can you clarify who you would send that to? So let's say you are so we ask at the top that a person that is like the primary contact for the organization fill out the application in our NGLM. But let's say you have a grant writer that you're having help you with this. You can invite them to edit and view it, but you don't want them to submit it because you want to be able to be the one that submits it. That would be a case where you would use the view, edit, and submit or add collaborators. Or let's say you're working and collaborating with another organization. We love all capitals to see like collaboration between nonprofits. So if you are working with another nonprofit, include them in on this application. There will need to be one that'll be like the fiscal person who the money will go to. But if you're working with another person, absolutely invite them to. Um, yeah, and I'm happy to show you more. I see another question. How does the $1,200 membership work? When is it due? I will let you go ahead and shoot me an email and I will send you to the appropriate people. So you do not have to spend $1,200 to be a part of this grant application. This is for SOS members. So to be a member of SOS and on the team that are viewing, like Berta James, you will we're happy to send you more info on how to become a member. You don't have to be a member in order to apply for this grant application. You just have to be a nonprofit operating in the St. Louis area and headquartered in the St. Louis area with an operating budget of under 1.5 million. I hope that answers your question. Um,
Mariana, there's one question that's been up for a bit. How are site visits accomplished if programs do not have a physical location? Then what happens is the what we call the site teams. The site teams will get a hold of you and arrange for a Zoom meeting, a virtual meeting, so you don't have to have a physical location to apply for a grant.
Thank you so much. Okay. Partner with nonprofits in the area for services. What would that site visit look like? We look like we just answered that live. Wonderful. Can you show the grants timeline slide again? I can very quickly. Give me just a moment. Share. No. Come on. You don't want to log in. There we go. Feel free to screenshot as you can, as you see fit. All right. I'm gonna leave that up while I keep going. We are located in St. Louis City and provide support to patients, families, and caregivers that travel to St. Louis for medical care that is unavailable in their home communities. The only restriction we place is that they must live 50 miles from the hospital that they are going to in St. Louis. Would we qualify? Feel free to shoot us an email because that's interesting. You're providing services, but it's for people located outside. Unless, Pat, you want to jump in here, but we can talk about this a different time.
The services that are provided must be in one of the counties that is listed in the requirements that Mariana had gone over.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Does youth mental health fall better under health or social services? We will let you make that decision. I have full faith and confidence in you. Our organization is so small at this point that we are basically working out of a PO box. How much of a site visit do we need for a site visit? As Pat answered before, if it needs to be virtual, it can absolutely be a virtual site visit. Berta, do you have any examples of a virtual site visit you've been on and what that kind of looks like?
There's a couple things you can do, and virtual is always an option if there's no actual site or building, but there's still something really good about meeting in person, and we all know that. We've all been Zoomed to death over the years. And so if you, let's say your board chair, has a law office and he has a conference room, that's fine too. And we can come and visit. So site visit isn't, oh, we need a tour of your site. It's basically to have a face-to-face conversation with you about your application and about your organization. And we can see the passion you have and we can understand what you do. So site visit don't take it literally, but just think about how would you best be perceived in person, in an office, or on Zoom. And then you make that choice when somebody will call you and set something up. And so then you can have that conversation with them.
Thanks. I saw a question that Pat just answered, but I think it's important to bring to the group. It asked, how long do you have to be around in order to apply? We need 2 years of financial statements. So that will be if you are invited to apply. So this is not LOI requirement, but for the application, we will need 2 years of your financial statements. So the previous year and then the year before that. So if it is, you have a fiscal year from 2020, from January 1 to December 25th, or December 25th, I wish, to December 31st of 2025, then we will need your January 1 to December 31st for 2024. And then, I'm sorry, it's 2026. My brain is in 2025.
The 24 and 25.
Yeah, we'll need 24 and 25. Thank you. And we know that everybody has a little bit of a different fiscal year.
And also, I want to just add to that. There's a lot of organizations that don't really like to fund small nonprofits. They don't like to fund new nonprofits that aren't proven. SOS likes that. We like to be there at the beginning. So don't be afraid to apply if you've got those 2 years of financials, because we really, really love to see a lot of these new nonprofits and support them as they start up. And we're real proud of that. So keep that in mind.
You did, Berta. Lisa Bell says, if I already have a GLM page for another grantor, will this process work with that page, or do I need to create another specific page to work with this grant process? Oh my goodness, thank you so much for asking. I am a GLM nerd, and we love our other fellow STL folks that use it. Unfortunately, our sites don't talk to each other. We all use the same founded system, but you will need to create a profile on our page on the STLCF page. Now, if you've created a profile, let's say you've applied for a Youth Connections or Economic Mobility grant option, or you've applied to PETUS or whatnot in the past and put in a physical application, then you will just need to log in to your profile on our GLM site. But if you, let's say, have a GLM site with Light a Single Candle, I know they have found it as well, you'll need to create a new page for ours. I wish. Maybe I'll put that in the ideas lab to be like, hey, can we talk to each other? Can you tell us what financial reports are required for organizations that make it past the LOI stage to the application stage? So we have tried to make it a little bit simpler from previous years. So we only have 2 uploads. Like I said, it's just the previous year's financial statements and the year before that. With that being said, you will be asked to put your budget in, how much you're requesting from SOS. I know I saw another budget in there, question in there as well. It'll be a button within the LOI. We encourage you to check out the RFP and then poke around the LOI if you're eligible. Are there descriptions for each service area category? We don't have like formal descriptions. Use your best judgment. I believe in you, Gina. Let's see. Oh, I wish Barb was on this call. We are and Pat and Berta, feel free to jump in here. We are an organization that serves outside of St. Louis, areas outside of St. Louis. Should the budget information and actual revenue and expenses information be for the St. Louis area only? So this, I'm assuming, means you're headquartered in St. Louis and you're serving St. Louis residents, but it also includes you service like Washington County, other places in Illinois. If that's the case and what you're talking about, because in that case you would be eligible, you're going to give us your whole budget information, and then you'll see another column in there that'll say like amount you were requesting from this funder.
And all we really want is we want an assurance that the money that is given to you as a grantee is used in the St. Louis region. And so breaking out your budget and just making it for St. Louis would be impossible, I think. I don't know that it could be accurate. So I agree with what Mariana said. Just keep in mind that, when we come back for follow-up, we'll be asking, how did you spend your money and where did you spend your money? And we need to have the answer be in the St. Louis region.
Thank you, thank you. What is the average grant award per year per nonprofit? Oh my goodness, I'm completely blanking. Pat, do you remember the max award amount?
So typically we award between $20,000 and $50,000 in grants, but keep in mind that these are 2-year grants. So half of that award would occur in year 1 and the other half would occur in year 2. So if you would be awarded a $20,000 grant, for example, 10,000 the first year, 10,000 the second.
And also, and this is kind of a little bit of an insider question, but if we decide that the organizations we're going to fund all are asking for $50,000, then that means there are going to be less organizations that are going to end up receiving a grant because we have a finite amount of money. And so, if we get a lot of organizations asking for 20,000, 10 each year, then we might give up to 12 grants. But our average seems to be about 8 to 10, depending upon the amount of the grants.
I believe we have a question in there that asks like if we're not able to award the full amount, like would this affect your programming or if you are able to. Thank you so much. Team effort on that. Also, I just really want to shout out Pat, who's been in here typing answers to these questions, like little speed demon typer over here. Appreciate it. Can you please dig deeper into general operating funds, what covers and what it doesn't? So if it is on that list of what we will not cover, under what this grant will not fund, which is available in the RFP on the website, or I'll just pull up the slides again here. That's what these funds will not cover. So I will pull that slide up for folks to see again. Maybe. I don't want share settings. I just want to share my screen. Thank you so much. I find if you talk to the computers, they're nicer to you, especially when they take over my life. Okay. Eh, one more from this. There we go. Feel free to screenshot this, Paula, and I'll leave it up for just a second. Must the questionnaire be completed before the LOI or vice versa? So the questionnaire, Melinda, the way that it'll work is so you'll have the eligibility questionnaire, and then if you pass the eligibility questionnaire, you will be able to access the LOI. You'll be asked to fill out the whole LOI, and then you'll press submit. If you have anything blank or missing, it'll let you know. And then if you were invited to apply, you will be invited and sent an application. So yes, the questionnaire will be completed before the LOI. And this is just, again, to be respectful of people's times. We know that if you're able to afford a grant writer, those are expensive. If you were doing it yourself, your time is valuable, and we don't want you to be spending time on something that we're not eligible for. Awesome. I'm gonna stop sharing the screen because I like seeing your beautiful faces. Okay. Uh, Are you anticipate having another application/grant cycle again, or is this a one time per year? So this is a one time every other year. Thank you so much for asking. So SOS is available in 2026, and it will not be available again until 2028. So those awarded this year, like we said before, will be awarded a 2-year grant. So the award will be split in half. First half the first year in 2026, and then the second half in the second year of 2027, and then 2028 we will start the whole thing over again, and it'll be so much fun. So,
Well, and a little aside on that also, we used to do every grants every year, and we had a group of nonprofits that came together, and their feedback was not surprising, is we are beat down by grant writing, and could you do 2-year grants so we don't have to write a grant every single year? And so we listened to you, and we completely restructured our entire grant cycle so that we could do this 2-year program because it really benefits the nonprofits, and we're pleased that we're able to do that.
uh, the other thing I want to note with that is SOS is a very competitive grant cycle. It is incredibly competitive. As you guys know, there are 200 people on this call right now. There are 300 people who registered, and funds are being spread and like taken away non-stop, like throughout. Federal funds have been lost in the city, and dollars just aren't going around as much. So we want to see that collaboration. We don't want it to be like a gladiator pit, everybody fighting for themselves. We want to see people working together. And then the other thing I wanted to note is even if you don't get this grant opportunity, all of these that are eligible are reviewed by SOS members who are women who are philanthropically natured. And I'm sure Berta and Pat have many examples of members who have read an application who may not have been funded by SOS, but it really touched their heart. And like they became a volunteer or donor to that organization. So think of it more like a marketing opportunity to get in front of a lot of really incredible women in St. Louis. And if you get some grant dollars out of it, great. And we're also happy to provide feedback on applications, preferably written, but we can do that as well. Berta, do you want to add to that?
Well, you said feedback on applications. We don't give feedback on the
Oh, I'm
application.
sorry. I'm thinking about our grant cycles. Please ignore me. The
Okay.
STLCF, if you request feedback for ours. But for SOS, Berta or Pat, do you have an example of when like a member who may not have been awarded, like an organization may not have been awarded, but really touched a member, and they volunteered or started donating?
I got one. Home Sweet Home was a brand new organization back in 2015. And yes, SOS did fund it once or twice. But when I first heard about it, it was before they'd ever received funds. And I ended up visiting their warehouse. I ended up falling in love with the mission. I ended up becoming a donor and a volunteer and sitting on the board. And now I write all their grants. So there you go. You know,
Mhm.
it can, you just never know when you're going to make an impression on somebody. And I never been interested in homeless issues before. And so this was a real stretch for me. So I truly believe that your exposures. What Mariana's saying is, it's almost a marketing tool for you to get the word out, especially if you're new and young and you haven't really gotten a lot of press yet. You'll impact a lot of people by sending an application.
And we have even
Great.
have had members who have become board members for organizations because they've been so impressed by that organization and feel so strongly about it. So again, this is an opportunity for you to get to know the Spirit of St. Louis Women's Fund and for us to get to know your organizations and the great work that you do.
Yeah, thank you so much. Oh, I got tingles all over, all the warm and fuzzies. Robin asked a really great question. I'm just going to give some unsolicited grant writing advice as someone who reads applications. I do not write applications. I have too much respect and it's too scary. But I do help people create them. And I've written a few in my day. Can you increase salaries under general operating support applications? This is just a general rule of thumb is like request the salaries that you're like wanting to pay your folks. And if you're applying for GOS dollars, talk about your programming. Maybe not like be like, oh, we're writing to increase our salaries, or if that's what you're doing. Um, but write about like what you're doing and then just include the cost of the salary as part of your application. And if you have applied to a funder previously, and we can see in the back, like, oh, this is a huge jump from year to year, write an explanation for that. But yeah, ask for the money that you all deserve. Jessica, I see you raising your hand. Unfortunately, we're not able to take any verbal questions so far. I wasn't sure if you were on the beginning part of this application, but if you want to I'm sorry, I've said application too many times. Beginning part of the Zoom call. If you want to type your question in the Q&A, we'll get to it there. And then if we still haven't gotten to it, there's a follow-up survey. So this is for all the folks that just joined. There will be a follow-up survey. We ask that you please fill it out. It's 3 questions. It's your email. If you have any additional questions, so if we get the same question quite a few times, we'll send it out to the group. Or if it's an individual specific question, we'll answer it there. And then if you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear. So. Um, Christy Griffin is asking, we partner with a university that will be providing space and meals for trainings. Considering the business of our contact, is this appropriate to reference them without including them as a collaborator? Absolutely. If people are donating to you and it is super important and like necessary for the things that you do, you don't have to add them as a collaborator on your application, but you can absolutely reference them. The collaborator is like really if they are helping you write the application. So if you are doing it in partnership with WashU, which WashU is a nonprofit, like, and they are giving you space and meals to host your training, then, and you are writing the application and co-writing it with them, then yeah, they might want to edit or view it or submit it. If you are just talking about the partnership that you have with them, you don't have to add them as a collaborator, but we do love to see collaborations. Okay. Organization does not brand the services given to the individual, but we do place a card that says, God loves you. We serve all people, no matter religion, creed. Would this be eligible? Excuse me. That was a big thing of thunder if y'all just heard it here in Clayton. The organization does not brand the service given to the individuals, but we do place a card that says, God loves you. Pat, I'll let you be the judge of this. I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
And Berta helped me out with this. I think it's the determination of the organization and if it is a religious organization. So I'm not sure if there's enough information in this question to be able to answer it. But that would be my first thought, Berta.
I agree. You could be tied to a religious organization. It could be a church. The church gives you space, or the church even started the individual nonprofit. You just can't require your clients to attend services or to um, come to
Thinking
Bible
that they would,
study.
yeah,
That
Jesus
kind of
loves you
thing.
is fine, but don't be like, have you heard of Jesus? You're going to hell. You know what I mean?
Yes. And there are some organizations that they do require a specific um, religious study, and that's just would disqualify you as a candidate.
Awesome.
So Pat and Mariana, or Pat and Berta maybe, I've noticed several questions in the chat related to whether SOS would fund less than an organization has requested. I think that's a great question, and probably the whole group would be interested. Maybe one of you guys would like to tackle that.
Yeah, and just a reminder, thank you, Wendy, for bringing that to the front. Just a reminder that we aren't using the chat for questions. So if you have a question, please put it in the Q&A because like Wendy just happened to be checking the chat for those
Oh,
questions.
sorry. It was in the Q&A. I'm sorry.
Oh, never mind. Okay, I'm
I
sorry.
said
If you
chat
have a
by
question, like
accident.
we're not, no, you're fine. Um,
So I guess one way to explain this is SOS has a pot of money, and that pot of money is dependent upon how many members we have who give $1,200 a year. So um, if the requests don't exactly the total requests don't match the pot of money that we have for that particular year, then we'll make adjustments in the request so that we can fund as many organizations and as close to their requests as possible.
Mhm.
we have 5 minutes left, so I just want to note that. And I will be speed running a few if that is okay. Will this
Also,
recording?
Mariana,
Oh,
I'll start answering some of these too,
great.
so that if you take them from the top, I'll take them from the bottom.
Awesome. Will this recording be available to view? Yes, it'll be posted on the SOS website. Can you better define financial statements, audits, management letters, 990s? Please check out the SOS website with the RFP that will give you a list of what is required. We formed officially as a 501c3 in October 2024, but we operated under a 501c3 starting in 2022. I'm assuming fiscal sponsorship. Would we still qualify to apply? Yes, you would. Does app need to request funding for one particular project when multiple projects are needed, or all projects must be listed within one category? So you will be given an option when you apply. It'll say GOS, program support, or project support. Program support is like an ongoing program that you have. Like a project support would be like, we need money for this pilot program that we're doing. That would be a project. A program example would be we offer like job training every year. This is an ongoing program we have. So if you were applying for multiple projects that are needed, I would consider general operating support.
And let me just step in there for a second too. There are a lot of granting organizations that don't like to give general operating. We do. So don't hesitate to do it. It's easier to write a general operating grant than it is to write a specific program. It's easier in other respects because let's just say, and there's a lot of organizations where they want to have a program that they can say, we buy beds for kids, or we, provided mental health services for veterans. And so they almost have to fake create a project to fit the grant. Don't do that. I mean, don't, that's a lot of work on your part. So general operating is fine. We're happy to look at projects, but if you don't have a project you want to fund, you just want to fund everything you do, general operating will be fine, and we're happy to consider those.
Thank you so much. I see quite a few asking if we are less than a year old, can we still apply? Also, I'm sorry if I type and misspell. Um, yes, shoot us an email and we're happy to have like that kind of conversation ahead of time. Please don't shoot us that email on June 18th at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm gonna be home taking a nap. Probably not. I'll probably be looking, but if we could please avoid that because there's no guarantee if that I can get to you. My
Well,
organization
but
is head.
if they're
I'm sorry.
only a year old, they're not going to have 2 years of financials. So there's that.
Yes. Yes. My organization is headquartered in Jefferson County. We serve mostly Jefferson County youth, but also have teens from St. Louis County, which only as of now. Sure. Yes. Fill out to the best of your ability for Annie Capita. How many $50,000 grants are typically awarded? I heard you say most are 10K-ish. That will depend on the amount requested. There isn't like, so I know for some STLCF grant cycles will say we're looking to award about 4 awards for about $50,000 each. This will be based off of who applies and the funds requested. Is it possible to be approved for less than the full amount? Yes, it is. Question from what Berta just said. So if we requested a specific amount, say 20,000, and it's a yes or no, would SOS be able to a lower amount based off of funds available? What is it a yes or no? Would SOS award lower based off of funds available? Yes, they could potentially award less than what you granted, or less of what you requested. All right, I have 1 more minute left. If we ask for a grant amount, I just answered that. What is the criteria used to decide awardees? That is included in the RFP. Please read it on the SOS website. Um, if parts of our organization are political, would you fund non-political parts? Crystal, it depends on if you are a 501c4 or C6 or C3. Shoot us an email and we're happy to like kind of parse through that with you. Okay, with that, it is 1 o'clock currently, and I want to be conscious of the time. There are 5 questions left, so please no one else submit any questions, and I will quickly answer these 5, and then I do unfortunately have to log off. It has been lovely talking to you. I feel like I've talked a little too much. If I've never met you in person, hello, it's nice to meet you. If I have met you in person, hello friends, it's nice to see you again. Real quick, Jeffrey says, does the Spirit of St. Louis nonprofit program have a specific category or funding focus for projects serving immigrant or refugee communities? Thank you so much, Jeffrey. You see the focus areas that we are focusing on this year. If 2 nonprofits are collaborating with each other, do we each complete a grant separately since we have totally different budgets? Just mentioned that we are working together. Susan, I'm so glad you asked this. At 1 o'clock. Thank you so much. If you are collaborating, you will need one organization to accept those funds. So you will need one person to be like, hey, we're going to be the financial entity that this is going to go to, and this is the dollars that are going to go and how we're going to split it up. Put that in the budget narrative. So let's say the Mariana Foundation and the Berta James Foundation are collaborating together to help people experiencing homelessness. And the Berta James Foundation is going to be collecting the dollars, and it is going to be them submitting the application in conjunction with the Mariana Foundation. But the Mariana Foundation is specifically going to focus on the meals. You're going to put meals as a budget line item or supplies for that, and you're going to write in the narrative. And as you're writing it together, you'll say like the Berta James Foundation and Mariana Foundation are applying together, and you might put it in your project title. And then in your budget narrative, you'll put that like, while the awarding organization, the accepting the awards is the Berta James Foundation, it will be working in this number of dollars. So if they're requesting $20,000, $5,000 a year will go towards food cost at the Mariana Foundation. I hope that made sense. Okay. Where we're social enterprise for profit applying for grants through our fiscal sponsor, is that acceptable? Is your fiscal sponsor a 501c3? So the 501c3 has to be the one accepting the funds. Kelly, if you want to shoot us an email, we're happy to answer more questions. Just to clarify, I see this was already answered, but just want to be sure, is if an organization budget shows a deficit, will the general operating support request be denied? No, not necessarily. You can request general operating support so long as these dollars aren't going towards like paying down debt or deficit, if that makes sense. So like if you are let's say like operations are in the negative right now and you're just requesting general operating support, that should be fine. If you are in debt because of you consolidated your debt into a loan and you're wanting to pay off that loan with SOS dollars, that is not eligible. And then Maggie Sullivan, thank you. You're welcome. This was so fun. Wow, 103. Thank you guys so much. We answered 53 questions. High five, Pat. High five, Berta. High five, Wendy. Thank you all so much. It has been lovely to be here with you this afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and share the last screen, which has my contact info on it, so it can be the last phase of the slideshow. Again, a recording will be sent out, and by sent out, I mean put on the SOS website. If you have questions, please fill out the survey at the end of this application. I've said application many times. Please fill out the survey at the end of the Zoom call, and we look forward to reading your applications and your submissions. But yeah, with that, thank you so much.
And I just want to say thank you to all the nonprofits, for being interested in applying for Spirit of St. Louis Women's Fund grant. And thank you for all the important work that you do. Small nonprofits are really the unsung heroes. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you all.